Hey, how long do you think you'd survive if you were cut off from the outside world alone by yourself?
Indoors, outdoors?
Indoors.
Oh, 4 days.
What if you were naked?
3 days. What are you talking about? Today we talk about a Japanese game show that reluctantly locked a man inside of an apartment for almost a full year with no clothes, no food, and no sanity.
Yeah. And he was stuck there until he won $1,000,000 yen. That was the terms of the game show. That's how he won and how he
much
got
is
to
$1 million? How did he win it? Like a sweepstakes?
Yeah, they were mail-in sweepstakes. He had to do mail-in sweepstakes. He had to win $1,000,000 yen, which is $8,000 US.
Well, we don't have $8,000 and we can't stop doing this podcast until we do. So this is things I learned last night. We learn about it, something interesting every week. This is this week's topic. Let's jump into the episode.
How's it going, man? You having a good day so far?
Okay. What? Start the episode.
Have you ever heard of Nasubi?
Nasubi?
Nasubi.
No.
What about Tomoaki Hamatsu?
Nope.
What about Denpa Shonen?
Why are we doing this? Why are we going to start the episode with you confidently saying things incorrectly?
Confidently saying things correctly.
Okay.
Subjectively.
Sure.
Nasubi is... Okay, so Nasubi is the Japanese word for eggplant.
Okay.
That's it. End of episode. End of content.
Nasubi.
No, Nasubi is the Japanese word for eggplant. It is this guy's nickname, Tomoaki Hamatsu. He was nicknamed Nasubi in grade school, and he stuck with it for a long time.
Okay.
Can you guess why his nickname is eggplant? I'll tell you. It's because his head's really long, like an eggplant. As the kids in his school were like, your head looks like an eggplant. They were like, your head looks eggplant-ish.
Okay.
And so you're like, you are
He's a large chin.
It is, yeah. His head is longer. It's 30 centimeters, which I don't know what's a normal head length.
Why do we know the measurement of this person's head?
It's on his Wikipedia page. It's one of those like side facts, like where it's like they got their picture when they were born. And then
does the size of his head have anything to do with the episode?
Well, it has something to do with his name being Nasubi. He goes by Nasubi.
Okay.
Because his head is long.
Sure.
But he was a kid. He was born in 1975.
Sure.
1975. And he was born in Fukushima, Japan.
Okay.
And he had a childhood where he was bullied. He got bullied as a kid for having an abnormally long head. And I bet, I don't know when his head developed, but just for sake of argument, I bet it developed before everything else. So he had a 30 centimeter head.
He was born with
a normal size body, like kid size body.
Why are you saying 30 centimeters?
That's what Wikipedia says.
Convert that.
30 centimeters? All right, 30 centimeters to feet. It's 0.98 feet. So it's almost a foot. His head's almost a foot. I mean, that's a big head.
How big is yours?
How big is average head?
So take that number, cut off a couple numbers.
This is small. Circumference. This is circumference. How long?
How long?
His average head. Average head length is 18 centimeters.
Oh.
So he is
almost
above average. 99th percentile.
Okay.
So he got bullied.
Measure our faces now, like the.
Yeah. Is there a measuring tape in there? There might be in that top drawer, or in the middle drawer, maybe the bottom drawer. There's a chance. If it's not that drawer, there's a chance it's the other drawer. And if it's not that one, try the other one. You see one? Really? We do have those 2 Google Pixels. You can get those Google Pixels, and we can look up the Google Pixels and measure with those. No, nothing. No dice. Do you think you could have done that a little louder? Thank you. All right, cool. Sorry if you're listening.
They're not.
Sorry.
We started going off a tangent on the size of heads, and they clicked that little fast forward 30, the little 30 in the little circle, and they're like, get to the point.
Stop being dumb.
We hate this show, but we still want you to get the ad revenue. So we're going to skip ahead. What if you only listen to the ads? That would help us a lot,
I'm
actually.
a big fan of ads.
Yeah, you just go, oh, better
Oh,
help.
good. It's the ad. Okay, so
Compassion International. You can look their stuff up at iownThatKid.com.
it doesn't exist anymore.
Speaking of big heads,
Okay.
time for another sponsored post from our sponsors, Odd Job Hats. Not just for big ones, but for long ones.
Odd Job Hats has gotten so much free ads for us. We're trying to get him to pay for one, and he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I don't have to pay." You
actually,
just keep doing it.
he gave me free hats, and he said, "Stop talking about us."
You're talking,
and I was like, "I can't.
It's hurting us.
I can't do it." He would have a multi-million-dollar company if it wasn't
if it
for
weren't
us.
for how much we talk
Same thing with
about
BetterHelp.
them. Yeah. Okay, so
And Goodbye Fresh.
so he was bullied growing up, and he learned as a kid.
You want to kill your business? Advertise with us.
He learned
We'll drive it into the ground.
he learned that as a kid he was getting bullied a lot. And
Yeah.
so if you're a kid and you're getting bullied, you got a couple options. Option
So
one.
he was walking around as a kid looking like jalapeno on a stick, right?
Yeah,
Got a real big
kinda,
head,
kinda.
little tiny body.
Eggplant on a stick.
Yeah.
Nasubi on a stick.
But you get what I'm talking about.
I get what you. No,
you got the
yeah,
reference.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a pop culture reference.
It's not. It's a
kinda what
pop
we
culture reference from 14 years ago.
2010, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Dude, Jeff Dunham still sells out arenas.
yeah, but
It's pretty wild.
raise your hand if you're going to wherever you're at right now. Raise your hand if you've been to a Jeff Dunham show in the
Raise
last
both hands.
15 years.
That's
Okay,
what I'm
so Nasubi. I'm trying so hard to talk about
driving his
Nasubi.
kids back from church camp is like, Jeff Dunham, take the wheel,
Jeff Dunham.
right? Jeff Dunham, take the wheel.
Okay. So
Take it from my hands. He can,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Play this with me for a second.
All right.
You're a kid who's getting bullied, right?
Right.
What are your options? Option number one. What's your options? I think you probably have three.
Three
maybe?
options.
Yeah. Option
one, you can just suck it up, take it.
Oh,
Two,
that wasn't an option. I was thinking.
hold on, I'll tell you
Okay,
what
so
the
maybe
options
four
are.
options.
Okay. One, you can just stuff those feelings deep inside.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just suck it up and take it.
Okay.
Two, you can say something back. You can try to
Okay,
be.
yeah.
You can try to beat them.
Yeah.
Three is you can say something back, and then they say something more hurtful, and then you say something a little slightly more hurtful. You get in trouble. You go to the principal's office, and then you sit in the principal's office and explain why you said the hurtful thing that you did. And the principal's like, actually, you went way further than they did, and now you're the bully in the situation. They gaslight you into thinking that you're the real problem. You grow up, you go to college, you drop out of college, you start a comedy career, and then later you have a podcast where you're talking about what you could do if you were bullied relentlessly.
If you were bullied, okay.
Then you end up in a couple relationships that are, you didn't realize at the time, but we're pretty bullying you. And then you have, and then you've set yourself up in a lot of friendships where you have the power, and then you bully those around you because you don't know how to relate and be close to people. And so you use humor as a way of being like, we're close and friends and stuff. But really, all of your friends lay in bed at night and they go, I don't think he actually likes me. And then your cousin goes, hey, you guys should learn what the love language is. I think that maybe you should learn love language because it doesn't seem like you like your wife that much. And it's like, no, I do. I love her a lot. That's why I make fun of her so much. That's how I show love and compassion because I'm actually in my warped, twisted mind switched to where now if I roast you, that's me telling you I like you because that's how I convince myself. They actually liked me all along.
Yeah.
I mean, they liked the kid all along.
They like the kid all along, yeah. It's the sixth love language, words of defamation.
Words of... Okay, anyway.
Honestly,
those are the three options.
Honestly, those are pretty close to what I was going to go with. I was going to say the first option. I guess you picked another one. You could bottle it up. You could become a rat and you go tattle on them.
Oh, yeah, you could tattle.
Yeah, you could be a rat. You could stick up for yourself and beat the tar out of them like the swine they are.
You could stick up. You could have someone else stick up for you. And that's the role you could play. When you see someone getting bullied, you can step in. All right. And if you want me to come speak to your high school about this, just go to comedyoncampus.com. Hire a comedian your students will love.
Here's the thing. I disagree. I scroll TikTok and I just see people
who
scroll after scroll who should have been bullied. Bullying is natural
Hopefully
selection
you're at the
for social.
website and you didn't keep watching. But, No, sometimes we got to bring this stuff
We
back.
gotta bully it out of. If someone you know says something that is not okay, bully that out of them. Bully them until they're not confident enough to have their bad opinions. That's what we need to do.
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
Or if they're just weird.
Yeah, if you're like
Or if
odd
you
and creepy
don't like
and weird.
the things that they like,
Sure.
or if they look strange, if their head kind of looks like an eggplant.
That's what I love
Make
about
fun of 'em.
Instagram Reels comment sections is that
They don't play.
They're not going to let
play.
you get away with it. TikTok is like, we'll deliver this to people who like it.
Yeah.
And like, there's going to be some people who won't like it, but Instagram's like, we're only going to deliver this to
giving it to
people
the
who
worst
do
people.
not like this.
Yeah. I love my favorite social media trend lately is when people comment hate from wherever they're from.
yeah.
That is, every single time I like cry laugh saying
Hate
that.
from Australia.
Hate from Canada.
Yeah.
That is so funny to me. I respect it. So, hey, tell us you hate us from wherever you're from in the comments.
It really helps me gauge whether that's an important opinion or not. Because if you're like hate from Indiana,
yeah, Indiana.
oh, you freaking got me, dude.
Yeah, we got some hate for hating on Iowa lately or recently. So we need to hate on some more states.
Cool.
Pick another one.
The bottom 5 are.
I forgot we did that.
Yeah. So
yeah, and then the other option, the fourth option, so you
you can embrace it.
Defend
You
yourself.
can turn it around.
yeah, and become like a class clown.
Right.
And
That's
so
what Nasubi-
that's what Nasubi does. He's like, I am Nasubi. I am eggplant.
I am eggplant.
Nasubi, good nickname. Eggplant, not great.
Right.
That's a language barrier thing there. But honestly, eggplant also kind of is a good nickname. I am eggplant.
There's a kid in my school named Biscuit.
Yeah, I am eggplant. Okay, so Nasubi embraced it and became kind of a class clown.
Sure.
Became like a slapstick comic, like body comedy kind of person, where like he just would do like crazy facial expressions and like he'd try to extend his face and like open his mouth real wide. So 30 centimeters would turn to, I don't know what a normal mouse span is. 36 centimeters. How big is
It's 6.
6 centimeters?
Yeah, I'm
How
sure.
big is the average open mouth? Most people.
Carlton Fresh Prince mouth.
Average mouth is 1.4 to 2.2 inches open.
you were like 6. I'm like, jeez, dude.
Oh, it should be. In the typical person, it's about the width of their 3 of their fingers. It's true. That worked.
How quick you went. I'm going to test this out. Jeez, dude. Like, I read it online. It's got to be true. And you just shoved your fingers in your mouth.
They're clean.
Ew, I touched your tooth. And not the straight one.
Okay, so
Touched your crooked, gross tooth.
I don't have crooked teeth.
You get one. You have one crooked. There it is. You touched it. You knew exactly which one I was talking about because you went.
Well, you
and then
just
were like,
touched it.
I mean, all these ones.
You just touched it. Okay. All right. We need to get into this.
That's your name now.
We've got a lot to talk about today, and this we
Then
covered
talk
just
about it.
Nasubi's.
Don't
egg
let me
face.
do bits.
Okay, let me tell you the story.
You have to
Okay.
stop me.
Okay, stop. So Nasubi got into comedy, wanted
Yeah.
to be a comedian.
Sure.
He's like, this makes me feel valuable.
That's what I'm telling you.
He's like-
Anybody who's been bullied.
People laugh, and then I feel like they don't hate me.
Yes.
And so then he's trying to break
is
into that scene,
The
right?
disease that plagues us all.
And then in the 90s, something interesting happens.
Jeff Foxworthy discovers it.
I think you got something, kid. He brings him on what was that tour with
Blue
all
collar
the blue
comedy
collar?
tour.
Yeah, he didn't really fit. So Nasubi's doing. I shouldn't say. He moves to Tokyo,
Okay.
and his parents say, "Hey, like if you want to pursue this entertainment thing, go for it. Give it your best shot." But they really wanted him to get into like a tech career or something like that.
Right.
Like very traditional parents.
Sure.
And so they were like, hey, but honestly, if you want to pursue this, like we'll support you. just don't take off your clothes. Interesting random thing to just tell your kid.
Okay.
And so he's like, yeah, it's comedy. I shouldn't have to.
He's like, no, I wasn't going to, but
Yeah.
now that you say that.
That would be pretty funny. It'd be kind of funny if I did it though.
Would this set be funnier if I was shirtless? And that's how we got Bert.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So yeah, his parents actually were like, "Well, you do whatever you want, just don't wear clothes."
No, wear clothes.
Oh no, I'm talking about Bert.
Oh.
Bert's parents were like, "Dude," and he was like, "You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm taking my shirt off." So, he is in Tokyo, kind of auditioning for stuff, not really getting any opportunities.
Sure.
And then there was a open casting call for a TV show, and it was going to be a game show. And they were looking. There's 20 people that showed up for this casting call for this game show.
Okay.
No information was given about what this show was going to be. It was put together by a guy named Toshiya Tsuchiya. This guy, he is like a pretty big time TV producer in Japan. He produced a lot of pretty groundbreaking shows throughout the 90s. Like he was a pretty big name in the Japanese TV scene. And so 20 people show up for this open casting call. They show up to this room and they expected it to be a sort of
20
thing.
people showed up for the casting call?
Yeah, 20 people showed up for the casting call. They were going to pick one. It was like a game show concept is what they advertised it as. Didn't really give any information of what it was. They all were kind of expecting there to be some almost auditions or questions or whatever. Is what they expected. They got there and it was just a raffle. And so all of them put their names in a hat and then they drew their hat and Nasubi was drawn in the raffle. This is him in 98 getting drawn for this raffle. Very excited.
I guess my thing is that I don't think his head's that big, that's fine.
I mean, he might have grown into it. I think as a kid, it might have been bigger. And I will say in certain, there's certain angles and facial expressions he gets in where you can see it more.
Sure.
This one, it looks relatively normal. But it is still, yeah. So he gets drawn for this, and immediately they pull him aside and they pull him. They take him to a separate room in this facility.
Yeah.
And they walk him in this room, and it's a small room. Honestly, probably about the size of the room we're in now. If you're watching this, picture the space you can see and double it. Pretty much is how big this room is.
Yeah.
Like a 10 by 10 room. There's
like a fish tank in the corner.
Yeah.
And this hallway over here that leads to a slide that goes deep downstairs.
Very deep. It's probably 6 floors.
Kansas City Underground.
Yeah.
Cheese caves.
Yeah, we got the cheese
Quit letting me
caves.
do bits.
And then there's a window on the wall. This is not our studio. That's his where he is.
There's no windows.
There's the room. There's a window on the wall.
Is bonkers how they get away with that because I don't think this classifies as a room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's illegal.
Pretty sure they can't call this a room.
Yeah, they have to call this an enclosure.
Yeah. I'm going to my enclosure.
Go to your enclosure.
Anthony, come up to the enclosure. That's a joke about your wife.
So there's a room, and then off the side of the room, there's like a small little kitchen. It's like a tiny fridge, tiny stove.
And they're like, they put them in here. They go, you live here,
and a little sink, a tiny little kitchen.
They go,
and then there's a little bathroom, a small little bathroom off that room too. And then there's the window on this side, and then up against the wall there is when you go and there's a man chained to the wall. And then they throw him in there, and then he looks down, and there's a chain around his ankle. And it's like, to get out, you have to cut one of your legs off. Congratulations, you won the raffle.
And there's a dead guy on the floor. Have you seen the original song?
Yeah.
There's a dead guy on the floor.
On the wall, and this is something that maybe not everyone listening can picture, but there's like an old school magazine rack like you would have at like a gas station back in the day. And,
yes.
And so it's just magazines for days. Like it's a pretty large, probably I would guess, here's a guess number, but I guess 100, maybe 200 magazines on this rack, like a decent sized magazine rack, right?
Okay.
And then a small table in the middle of the room, and that's it. And there's a cushion on the floor, a cushion sitting on the floor. And so that producer you saw, Toshio, walks him in this room, and there's a guy with the camera, and he basically is like, okay, hey, we're filming this show. We're going to release it later this year after filming's done. And he kind of walks him through the concept. And he says, so what's going to happen is you're going to have to earn 1 million yen in this room. And the only way you're going to do that is by entering mail-in sweepstakes from this magazine rack. And he said, and also...
What?
Do you have a question?
Okay, so the concept of the show is we've got all these magazines with all sweepstakes in them.
Yeah.
And we're going to make someone fill them out for us. And then in hopes that we win one of these sweepstakes.
Well, I should be clear. This is not like a mail-in sweepstakes for 1 million yen. They didn't have those. It was mail-in sweepstakes. It was like mail in and get, an igloo cooler. And so he had to win mail-in sweepstakes for the total value of 1 million yen is what he had to earn. And so it's going to be small prizes that had to add up to $1 million. Yeah, 1 million yen, which was at the time equivalent to $8,000 US. Today, like $20,000 US.
Oh, it's pretty doable then. Okay.
Here's the catch. He also...
The catch isn't I have to submit magazine sweepstakes?
The catch is the only thing they provided him with was water. He had to meet all of his other needs through the mail-in sweepstakes as well. And so...
So first thing you gotta do is go look for all the food sweepstakes so that you can get food.
Well, then he said, oh, there's one more twist. And he said...
Because if you don't complete it, we kill your whole family. Oh, that's kind of a big twist.
He says, strip. And he's like, you have to earn your clothes too in a mail-in sweepstakes.
He goes, but my parents.
Yeah, I made a promise to my parents.
I made a promise to my mom and dad.
Hey, if you've been watching for a minute and you like this show, a great way to help out is by becoming a Patreon supporter. Our patrons get a ton of perks for their support. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get a Discord with our hosts and producers. We do monthly hangouts. There's a way to get birthday messages on your birthday. There's a lot of great perks, but more than anything, you just help make sure that this show continues to happen forever. We never want to stop. We're going to keep doing this forever. If we have enough patron supporters, we can put our brains in those little vats and have AI pretend it's us. And so we can keep doing it long after we die. But that only happens if you support us on Patreon. So we appreciate your support. Thanks for your help. If you don't want to support, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you watching this show. And so he, after some back and forth, obliges, and he ends up stripping in this little room.
He's naked?
Yeah, he's naked, butt naked. That's his cushion. He picked up the cushion on the floor to cover up. And those are envelopes for him to fill out the mail-in sweepstakes and mail them out. He's got a phone for emergencies. He has a radio for radio sweepstakes. He can enter radio sweepstakes as well.
Can he call in and be like, I'm the 8th caller?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they told him the phone was only for emergencies. So I'm pretty sure it was only mail-in sweepstakes on the radio. So he's told this is being filmed. We're going to release this later this year. He kind of sits back. The guy, he makes him strip, and there's hidden cameras in the room. And then the producer just leaves, shuts the door behind him, and he's trapped in this room alone, this tiny room alone, naked, with nothing but a bunch of magazines. And so he's thinking, okay, this is not going to work. There's no way this is going to release. Unbeknownst to him, it was already releasing. It was on a TV show called Denpa Shonen. And to give you some perspective, this is Denpa Shonen. It was a like a late night TV show in the 90s in Japan. Okay. But it was think Japanese game show. It was very animated. Everything was green screen. So they would do these crazy green screen bits. Very, very comic-y.
Okay.
And big sounds, big effects, all sorts of stuff. And this was a segment in Denpa Shonen. And so immediately that weekend, he shows up, he's thinking this isn't going to release for a year. Right. And in his brain, he's like, there's no way this gets greenlit for production. Like, there's no way this is actually going to go out. But that weekend, he's on live TV.
Naked
on live TV. And it's a segment. It's like
That's
a 10.
illegal.
It's like
I don't know.
It's Japan in the 90s. I don't know. And so it's like a 10-minute segment where they kind of crunch the whole week into that 10-minute segment at the end of the
Here's
week.
what he did this week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here's him cooking naked. Here's him filling out envelopes naked.
Well, what they would do is they had producers that were honestly very similar to
He won 2 socks.
They were very similar to like the Big Brother producers, where they would like find like relatively exciting moments and they would play it up. Like they would add in sound effects and like graphics on the screen and like do goofy stuff to make it more interesting and exciting.
Okay.
But it's a single person in a room by himself.
Right.
Again, naked. And so obviously they blurred it. And he was sits down and just kind of gets to work on mail and sweepstakes. So he opens it up, starts flipping through these things and filling out cards. First day he does a couple dozen, mails them off. Second day.
How long does it take to get the stuff?
I mean, that's the thing. You got to figure he's mailing it, and then the mailman's got to come pick it up, and then they got to ship it out to the place. He has to get selected, and then that place has to ship it to him. I mean, you're thinking at least a week for anything to show up, at least, right? Well, that's pretty much what happens. He waits like 7 days. Nothing has shown up at all. And so he's sitting there. The room's exactly what it was when he showed up. He has nothing in the building. The producers were like, well, we can't kill him. And so they...
Well, yeah, because you haven't had any food.
Yeah, so they started slipping him crackers to keep him from dying.
Thank God. What am I, the ducks at Disneyland?
The door would open and crackers would come flying in.
Sliding on the door and he goes... Which, first of all, the ducks at Disneyland, do you think they landed there and they were like, oh my God, this place is incredible, because they just get to live in these little ponds and they'll come up and eat out of your hand.
Speaking of Disneyland, you hear about this controversy that they're in right now?
They killed that person?
Yeah. Did you hear about the lawsuit?
I don't know anything. And if anybody at Disney tries to say that I know something, I don't.
You hear about the lawsuit?
I'm loyal to you, Walt.
Okay.
All right?
Did you hear about the lawsuit, though?
I did.
Okay.
I'm afraid of Disney, dude.
All right, why?
Because of this stuff.
If you haven't heard of it,
if you haven't heard, a woman who her husband is alleging that her death was caused because they explicitly over and over and said she has an allergy. She has an allergy. She has an allergy. And she was reassured over and over and over again that the food she was given did not contain her allergen.
Yeah.
But then it did. And she died because of that.
Yeah.
And so
which is crazy because they're really good about that.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, that is pretty wild.
That's where immediately
made that mistake.
There is a part where it's like, okay.
I mean, mistakes happen. So it's like, I do think it's possible.
It's a pretty big mistake.
That's
she died.
huge. That is huge.
So the husband sues Disney, obviously, and is like, hey, their lawyer, one of their lawyers, whoever did this, thought that they hit a home run. They were like, oh, we got him.
Yeah.
Because the husband had downloaded the Disney Plus app on his Xbox for the free trial that lasted 7 days, and then didn't even log into it.
Yeah.
And then deleted it from the Xbox.
Yeah.
But when he signed up for it, he agreed to the terms and conditions.
Yep.
And in that terms and conditions, it says that any lawsuit brought against Disney, they'll have to go to arbitration.
Yep.
So now they're trying to take this to arbitration based on him accepting terms and conditions from 2021 on Disney Plus. So if you have signed up for Disney Plus, they're going to kill you and get away with it.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is this is just a testament to how much the law doesn't exist.
Yes.
Because he has a really good lawyer. And so what his lawyer said is, we're going to set up a trust in his wife's name.
Yep.
And the trust is going to sue her because she did not accept the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
And so she can take you to court while he can't. And so he's not a part of the suit anymore.
Yep.
And the trust is. And so that's just...
Which is crazy.
Yeah. But it is like, I mean, it's scary, the terms and conditions thing. Have we talked about Black Mirror on this podcast? The Black Mirror ad campaign? Mm-mm. When Black Mirror... a few years ago, they did an episode about terms and conditions.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Black Mirror, where have you been? But the whole concept of the show is like crazy
Yeah.
tech companies being insane. And they had an episode about terms and conditions going too far.
Right.
And to advertise for that episode, they had Netflix update the terms and conditions. And so they literally went and they just quietly updated the terms and conditions. Everyone accepted it. And in that update, there was a line that said, you give Netflix express permission to use your image, likeness, and your name in advertising. And they're allowed to go get your image and likeness from your social media profiles.
Right.
So what they did is then Black Mirror went and got people's real social profile pictures and took their names and put billboards up across the United States and said, like, I don't remember what the bit was from that episode, but they were basically like, Jared Myers is whatever the line was in that episode.
Yeah.
And they put these billboards up all over the country without anyone knowing
Crazy.
that they did it because they agreed to it in the terms and conditions, which brilliant marketing campaign, also terrifying.
Brilliant marketing campaign. Also,
Brilliant for that show.
should not have been allowed
Yeah, should not have been allowed, but it is because the law doesn't matter.
to the rich.
Yeah. Anyways, that's Disney and Netflix and every terms and conditions you agree to.
Right. So this, I mean, he probably, Nasubi probably agreed when he signed up for the show. Just didn't know that he was signing up to be.
Yeah. I'm sure he filled out a contract that
They
said
were
all
giving
this
him
stuff.
crackers.
They were giving him crackers. They were making sure he wasn't going to die.
His first sweepstakes item.
So he's in there for 9 days and there's a knock at the door. And so he gets super pumped. He thinks he's finally won something.
Hello. Where's the door?
Where's the door? He opens the door. There's a kid at the door with ramen.
Hello.
And he tells the
He's
kid,
hallucinating.
he's like, did I win? And the kid was like, what?
The kid goes, no. They paid a kid to eat the ramen in front of him.
No, the kid was like, what? And he's like, that'll be $11.99. And he was like, what do you mean? I don't have any money. And he's like, are you what? And he asks the name and he's like, oh, sorry, wrong apartment. It was a ramen delivery kid.
And
Someone had
this is an
ordered
actual apartment. This
takeout.
isn't like on a set. This
Yeah,
is
this
a
is
real
an apartment somewhere in Tokyo. And so this kid showed up thinking he ordered ramen and he didn't. And it was just like the slap in the face and like watching the dejection as he closed that door, like with the ramen in front of him, probably smelling it like fresh cooked ramen.
Like,
And he's like, I have no way to pay for that. And even if I could, it's not mine.
Also,
yeah, also,
he's still naked. Like he's got a pillow cushion. in
He's
front.
just covered
He's like,
himself
is
with
that
a pillow.
for me? Did I win?
I
All
win?
right. Let's imagine that you're a DoorDash driver, right? You go out with a DoorDash. You knock on someone's door. You got the McDonald's. Someone answers the door, naked, pillow, and they go, "Did I win?"
You
And you
run
go,
away screaming.
Nope. No, you didn't. And you hang up.
Yikes. So he's in there for 3 or 4 more days and he has his first winnings show up.
He eats the socks.
It's a box of, it's something we don't have. Like they said the brand name. It's basically like tubed jelly or something like that.
Okay.
And they're just little tubes of it. Kind of like think Go-Gurt, but for like gelatin.
Sure.
And so he's got these little tubes. He loves it. He's starving, literally starving. And so he's trying to make them last, eats them all. A couple days later, his second prize shows up and it's rice. And
Goodness.
the rice was a pretty big winning for him.
Because rice can last a long time.
Yeah, you can make that last. And it was like a pound of rice. It was like a decent amount of rice.
Yeah.
The problem is he realized he has no pans or anything to cook with. He's got a stove, but he doesn't have any pans or anything.
That's cruel.
And so he has to win pans.
Pants. Pants also need, but not right now.
Also need pants.
Bookmarking that for later.
It's the licking
Pants.
Gotta enter all the pants sweepstakes. So he
Fills out the info. His name, please give.
I'm desperate.
No, seriously. I deserve these.
I need these really bad. And so here's the problem.
Mr. Give?
He tries he tries to eat it raw.
Yeah,
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And then he starts trying to get
I've tried.
he starts trying to get creative. And so he starts finding just different things around the house that he's like, maybe I could put this in. And then he remembers he's got those gelatin containers. And he's like, maybe if I turn the stove on overnight and let that run overnight and put the gelatin container full of rice and water just close to it, like not close enough to actually catch on fire, not like close enough to where it's just the heat is just slightly
Show
radiating.
producers are sound asleep. And just the whole apartment's in flames. All right. But now he's got to enter a sweepstakes for a fire extinguisher. Oh, God. Please, no, seriously, need
no,
now.
seriously, need this big time.
Need this big time. 911.
Sweepstakes. So, wakes up in the morning and it worked. It took literally all night.
But he cooked that rice.
But he cooked that rice and that. And
Good
here's the
for
thing.
you.
Here's the thing. It's a little thing, probably half the size of this Bang can.
Yeah.
And so he's just got it sitting there. And so he's like, I can cook that much every night. And it takes all night. And so he's able to get at least a little bit of food out of this. And now he's starting to kind of figure out how to win sweepstakes. And the point of winning sweepstakes is volume. And it becomes like a 10-hour-a-day deal for him. It
wasn't before. What else was he doing? Nude.
Well, it started out like because they gave him a notebook, and so he could take notes and like diaries and stuff like that. And then other than that, nothing.
Day one.
He did kind of pull a U, and he would run laps around the room to keep himself like physically
Nude.
like.
Well, yeah, he's got to look hot the whole time.
What do you think he's gonna gain weight doing this? So he's running laps around the room and just I don't know. And then he's got a bunch of magazines. Maybe he was reading the articles. I don't know. Like there's nothing to do. Like I don't know. Yeah. And so it started out he's only doing a few dozen a day.
Do you shower and stuff? I guess.
I don't think he has a shower. He has a toilet. I know he has a toilet. I don't think he has a shower. Rough. And so he scales up production of his mail-in sweepstakes. Okay. Gets to the point where now he's doing $1,250 a day on average mail-in sweepstakes.
Holy cow! Hammering
them out. And within a few weeks, he's at day 30-ish. The sweepstakes start coming
month.
The sweepstakes start
Why
coming in.
Why are you giggling like he spent 9 months in here?
So the sweepstakes start barreling in. We start getting updates every week on Denpa Shonen.
From that show.
On Denpa Shonen. And so he's winning like major boxes of prizes and stuff.
Is.
And he's getting pumped for it. He's getting pumped every time something comes in. Because here's the thing. Nothing's happening in his life. The only interesting moment in his life right now is when someone shows up at the door with a gift for him. Because all he does is sit there and write postcards all day.
Yeah.
And so when something comes in, he gets pumped. Like he's dancing around, jumping around, showing all of his prizes.
Right.
And his prizes are usually like that. I think was a bunch of potato chips. Like they're nothing like great, but it's something, you know, it gives him something. Well, they've been doing they've been blurring him out on the TV show. Right. And someone then has an idea like, wait, his name is Nasubi. He's the eggplant. They're like, what if instead of blurring him out, we used an eggplant? And so they put an eggplant instead of blurring out. Here's the thing. There's a lot of like cultural people who are pretty confident this is why the eggplant emoji became the eggplant emoji is because of this. So it actually has more to do with this guy having an abnormally long head than anything else. Anyways, so
Did you do this whole episode for this?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just a happy coincidence.
He's finally got a toothbrush.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening there. I don't know if that's a toothbrush or his makeshift spoon. I don't know. I can't tell. Because I don't know. Anyways, so he's doing his thing. Meanwhile, this is blowing up. Japan loves this. Okay. It's on every week. Everybody's talking about it. It is Big Brother. It is 24. It is 24. American Idol. It's a cultural phenomena. His parents, not stoked. They're like, that's the one thing we told you.
The one thing we said.
Not to do. And
this is why we warned you. We knew they were going to do this.
We
time traveled back in time to say, hey, just whatever you do, don't take your clothes off.
Don't get naked.
I tried to help you.
And so they the local news doxes him. Someone on a local news finds his apartment.
The one that he's in.
Yeah, and they publish it. I don't know why. And so in the middle of the night,
ramen delivery driver comes forward with his alarming
Nasubi's
story.
location. And so they dox him, and the producer shows up in the middle of the night and says,
"We gotta move."
Well, he shows up in the middle of the night and he says, "Hey, we're going somewhere." And he like makes him put on a blindfold, leaves him naked, and like takes him out into a van, blindfolded, and drives him across town. He said that they turned on music really loud so he couldn't tell where he was. And then they pull up into an identical apartment somewhere in the other side of Tokyo. And he's like, "Did I win?" And he's like, "No, you've got a long way to go."
No, you've only made $20 so far.
And so
we love this.
Yeah, and so so they moved him.
We're making millions every day, actually.
We're making pretty good money. And so he has this moment where it's like, oh, I get to leave. And there's a video of him leaving. And this is around day 60 or something like that. And
60?
Yeah.
2 months.
And in that scene, he walks outside and you see him react. He's like, fresh air. And then he gets in the car. He's like, "Oh, I'm in a car." He's like, "We're driving somewhere." He's like, "We're out and like we're driving."
Still naked.
He's like excited about it, butt naked. He's got his cushion though. He's covering up with this cushion in the car. And then they drop him off in this new house. And there's just that moment where he takes that blindfold off and it's the same room. And so he closed his eyes, left for a while, opened his eyes, and it's the same exact room. And they actually moved all of his prizes in there. And so all of his prizes are now in this room. And he's like, "All right, see you later." And then he leaves and then he's just got to continue. And so this goes on. Every week they're doing these updates on Denpa Shonen and they're putting little updates of like, here's the day.
Day 99? How long was he in here?
And
look how skinny he is.
Yeah, he's slowly but surely accumulating more stuff. He's not often winning food. And that's the hard thing is there's not a lot of mail-in sweepstakes for food. And when it is, it's usually like junk food and like not great amounts. Yeah.
Right.
And so he's winning things like bikes. He won a bike and then he rode it around a couple times and he was like, well, this is just in the way. And that was the thing too. Like everything he just had to pile up in the room that he won. And so he's got like a wall of just prizes. Stuff. Yeah, just random stuff. And there's some stuff that he had fun with, some stuff that he didn't. He did win a PlayStation at one point. And so here's footage of him playing PlayStation.
He won a TV, I guess.
He did win a TV, but the TV didn't have anything to hook up to. And so like it was just static, but then he won the PlayStation. He played the PlayStation almost nonstop for like 2 weeks straight. And then he's like, "Oh, I need to put this away." He's like, "I can't." He's like, "This is going to literally kill me." He's like, "I have to do the sweepstakes. This is too distracting." And so he boxed the PlayStation up and hid it from himself because he's like, "I've got to ban myself from this. It's too distracting."
Okay.
And it was like the only happy moment he had for a long, long, long time. And then, let me see if I could get this date right. Remember, the goal is to win 1 million yen. He's been entering all these sweepstakes, and he's been entering, and then one day, I believe it was around day 290 something. The door opens in the middle of the night.
Did you just say 290?
Yeah. Day like 290. The door opens up in the middle of the night. Producer comes in. He's asleep, still naked. He's never won pants. He's won clothes, but they've never fit him. So there's been times where he's won clothes, but he couldn't. Like they literally couldn't fit.
Okay.
He's been naked for like 290 days.
This is a crime.
Yeah. And I mean, you saw in this shot, his hair is now really long. He's starting to get some unkempt facial hair. He's got a lot of random prizes. And
a globe.
Toshio comes in with the camera crew and a few other people. And he's laying there asleep, naked in the middle of the night. And Toshio comes in with party poppers. Just pops one in his face. So he wakes up to a party popper and it's like all over his face. And he's just staring at him like confused. And so he pops another one. And he doesn't say a word. He's just staring at Toshio. And he pops another party popper. Yeah. And then he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, what do you? He does that. He pops another one and he says, what are party poppers for? And he was like, parties? And he's like, yeah. Then he pops another one. He's like, why do you use them? He's like, to celebrate. And he's like, why would we be using one? And he pops another one in his face. And he's like, did I win? And he's like, yeah. And he pops another one in his face. And he's like, you did it. The game show was called A Life in Prizes. And he's like, you survived the Life in Prizes. And he's like, are you serious? Are you joking? Are you messing with me? Because he's had this happen. Obviously, that one time he got doxxed once before. And it did actually happen another time. They moved him at another point. I don't know why, but they just moved him. And so he's moved 3 times in the middle of the night. So he's like a little guarded at this point. He's like, I don't know if I believe you. And they have a suit and like, put this on. And he's like, oh my gosh, clothes. He hasn't worn clothes in 290 some days. And so he's like, okay, can I go home now? And he's like, well, we have one more thing we have to do. And so
they walk out to this live studio audience.
They put the blindfold on and they take him out and he gets in a car. This time he's fully clothed. He's wearing a full suit. They take him out to the car and then the car stops and they get out of the car. They walk up some stairs and then he sits down in this chair and then he realizes he's in a plane. And he's like, wait, are we in a plane? Where are we going? And he's blindfolded. And they're like, just wait. And so plane lands. They get out of the plane on the tarmac.
Same apartment.
They get out of the plane on the tarmac, and then they go out into the street. Like they find a main road somewhere in like the downtown area of this place they went. They take off the mask, and they're like, "Do you know where you are?" And he's looking around. Never been to this place before. Doesn't recognize it at all. And he's looking around, and he deduces just from looking at the signs. He's like, "Are we in Korea? Is that Korean?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're in Seoul, South Korea." And it's like, we're celebrating your winnings because you said in one of your journals that when you leave, you wanted...
read.
he said that you wanted to eat Korean food when you won. That was the first thing you wanted to do. So we took you to Korea to get authentic Korean food.
Cool.
Yeah.
So malnourished. So unclean. Wearing clothes for the first time in a year.
Yeah, so they take him...
And he's like...
They take him to this Korean restaurant. He's in this suit, and they take a picture of him, and they're like, "Hey, be excited!" They film this whole thing.
His brain is broken.
Yeah, they put him on the show. They take him to a Korean theme park.
Did he actually get $1 million worth of prizes?
Yeah, he got $1 million yen. So it's like 8,000 yen. Yeah, he earned $1 million yen worth of prizes.
It took him 290 days.
Yeah, of mail-in sweepstakes to reach $1 million yen worth of goods. The last thing he got was actually a bag of rice that put him over the $1 million. And so then he gets to Korea. They take him to a theme park. They do a whole day riding the theme park rides. And then the final day of the final scene of this like celebratory day in Korea, partying his whole like celebrating
back to his apartment.
They walk in. They take him to a different place. They walk him through a door, and they walk in, and it's the same exact apartment, same layout, same everything, but now it's empty.
In Korea,
Toshio says, "We want to know if you can do this in Korea." And so he says, here's a Korean-Japanese dictionary so you can translate the magazines. And then he leaves. And he makes him strip again, makes him get naked. And they extend it because at this point, the show...
They're trying to get a Korean market.
Well, the ratings are at 17. They have 17 million viewers a week on the show, which is better than American Idol did in its heyday in Japan. And so this show is crushing. And so he hit it, and the producers were like, we can't stop. And so like, see if he can do it in Korea. So they take him to Korea, and they drop him in an apartment.
And this is kidnapping at some point, right?
I mean, I think you're right. It does depend what the contract looked like. Like, he signed a contract, probably didn't look at it. It does just kind of depend what he agreed to when he signed the contract.
Oh, this sucks.
And so this first prize
is a bag of rice.
It was the same concept. It was A Life in Prizes Korea is what they did. Still aired on Denpa Shonen, and everybody's tuning in every week to see if he can do it. This time, the prize is equivalent to like $3,000. It's a much lower goal to get to. And now he knows how to do this. And so the added challenge though is he doesn't read the language. He doesn't know how.
The added challenge is that he doesn't know the language. Not that you've been alone for a complete year with only 3 instances, 4 if you count the delivery driver, where you're interacting with another human being. The added challenge that you don't know Korean.
And so he starts entering these sweepstakes.
This stresses me out.
And in these sweepstakes, he's opening the magazine. He has to translate every word of the magazine to understand what it's saying. And even if that is a sweepstakes, he can enter. And then when he enters the sweepstakes, he has to translate his postcard to Korean to enter the sweepstakes. So it's an serious challenge. But he pulls it off in 30 days. And so they come in
and they were like, how do you feel about Australia, mate? Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Wanted to let you know real quick, we have an email list, and it's not like hey, we're going to send you our merch and new episodes all the time. We actually give you updates on these stories as we find out about them. So a lot of our episodes we've done a couple years ago now have updates, or the person the topic was about passed away or was caught by the police, or whatever updates we can find on episodes that we've done. We want to let you know about it so that our episodes just aren't, out there out of date. It's a really fun way to keep learning new information. And then every once in a while, we let you know about new events coming up or new episodes. And it's just a way to help us keep spreading this show. To join that email list, you can text TILLN to 66866, or there's a link in the description of this episode, or you can just go to TILLN.com. It's very easy to join this email list. It's everywhere. It's actually really hard to not join it. So...
They're like, you did it. Congratulations. Great job. And they said, what if you doubled it?
He goes, I just want to go home. I just want to go home.
Yeah. And so...
so he said no.
So they doubled it. And he keeps doing it.
What does he get at the end of this? Does he just get all the prizes?
No. He gets to be on TV. Mind you, here's the thing. He has no idea that this is going out on TV yet. Like, he thinks this is going to release after the fact. That's what they told him.
He doesn't know that he
doesn't know
famous.
that people know about him yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after 335 days of this, the producer comes in and is like, you did it. You won a life in prizes. And so he takes him and same thing, puts him in that same suit. At this point, he said in interviews after the fact, he said he hated wearing clothes for a long time after this.
Yeah,
because he was naked for forever.
Yeah.
And so he's like, it was so uncomfortable. It was so itchy. Like, it was so hard to get used to being clothed again. So he, same thing, gets that suit put on, goes in a van, completely blindfolded, and then they leave. They take him back to Japan. But at this point, he is like, they have millions of weekly viewers. He is so unbelievably famous that they're like, we can't fly him out of here.
Oh, yeah.
So they take him on a boat back to Japan, and it was like one of those ferries.
Did he have to go through security on that first flight?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with the first flight.
That for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
And so this one, and I don't know. Yeah, I kind of feel like there was probably ways around with this with a flight, but I don't know if it was for theatrical effect or whatever.
Put him on Southwest Airlines.
And so what they did on this return
South Korea West Airlines.
South Korea West. So they put him on one of those ferries, but they pull the ferry in, and you know how, like, if you've ever taken a ferry, you drive your car up onto the boat. Yeah. And then you get out of your car and you go up to the boat part of the boat where you ride the boat.
They stayed in the car.
And then you go down and and they left him in the car. And so they all got out. And so he's just in the van.
All right, let's go get drinks.
Blindfolded on the boat.
Child lock turned on.
And so he rides in the car.
Blindfolded, and you just hear, guys. Guys.
Here's the boat horn.
Mom. Are we on a Disney cruise right now? I don't trust Disney.
My life in Disney cruises.
Did I agree to these terms and conditions?
So they ride the boat back to Tokyo. They get to Tokyo.
Yeah.
They take the car, and then he guides him through this this new building that they walk into.
Yeah.
Walks in this room. He's like, okay, you take your blind up, fold off. He's in the same room again. And so he just impulsively is dejected and just starts taking all his clothes off. And he grabs he's like, I know the drill. I know what's happening here. And so he takes the cushion, covers himself up, and sits down.
Where is he at now?
The producer leaves the room, and he is on set at Denpa Shonen. The hosts are there. They've quieted the whole audience. There's 300, 400 people in this room in a live studio audience, and everyone's waiting. And there's a countdown on the screen. And then the walls of the room he's in collapse open on stage to reveal he's in front of this live studio audience. He has no idea, by the way. He thinks he's in a regular apartment again. And so he just sees the walls fall down. To then be butt naked.
Do you know how I wouldn't make it past day 4? They couldn't do this to me.
And there's hundreds of people in the room.
This makes me so
People
mad.
are taking pictures. There's music. There's confetti cannons going off. Like it's like he won a major game show because he did
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. He remembered this 3 times. People are losing their minds. The hosts of the show come. They walk up to him and they like crouch down next to him with their mics and they start asking him all these questions.
And he's like, I don't speak Korean.
He's just completely floored. Like he is speechless. He can't talk. And he's like, did I win? And they're like, yeah, you won. You did it. You won a life in prizes. And he's like, can I put clothes on? And like just frozen, honestly, like deer in headlights moment. And it's also the first time he's talked to anyone, really. Like he's talked to the producer and he's talked to that ramen kid. But for a year, those are the only people he's talked to. Yeah, a lot of talking to himself. So they bring out a robe. They put him in this robe and they escort him off and they make a whole big deal about this. And that's the first moment he realizes that he's been on TV this whole time. And he now he can't go out in public because he gets mobbed because everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. Yeah. Like he has a pretty loyal fan base. Like everybody really appreciates him because the show, like any show,
made him look really good.
Yeah, they made him look fun. They made him look like he was having a great time, like it was really enjoyable and all this stuff. And they censored out all the stuff where he was dejected and writing these really sad journal entries and like very clearly spiraling out of control. Because he was losing his mind. And like anyone would. You can't be alone in a room naked with no food and expect to be in a good mental state.
Yeah.
And so another interesting thing I forgot to mention. About day 80, there was these rumors. Everyone was like, oh, this isn't real. They bring him in, they film all the stuff, then they take him out, and he's just acting like all this is fake. And so Toshio started the first 24/7 live stream. And so they live streamed his room 24/7 on the internet. It was the first time anyone's ever done that. And they had a crew of people. It was like 30 people manning this live stream. Yeah. And there was someone whose job was to just track him with that eggplant at all times. And so like they would go in shifts and just track him with the eggplant and make sure he was still censored 24/7 for like 200 more days, something like that of just...
What do you do for work? Have
you ever played Pac-Man? It's similar. Kind of like I play that all day. Only
much higher stakes.
The stakes are
much higher stakes.
There's no ghosts.
Yeah.
But there might as well be. So he gets out and all of this gets revealed to him that he's famous now. And he's got a mixed feelings for this. He goes on a press tour. They sent him on a press tour, I should say. So he does like every late night talk show in Japan, every news channel in Japan, every morning show. Like he is guesting on literally everything that exists for 4 weeks straight. They're flying him around. He's doing all these guest appearances, doing all these interviews.
They're blindfolding him and then taking it off. He's like, good morning, Japan.
Yeah. He even leaves the country a couple times. He goes on BBC and they interview him on the BBC. And so it's like a major press tour and goes from being trapped in a room for 300 days with nothing to eat to a giant level press tour, touring quite literally a decent part of the world. and having to do all these interviews. And he's never done any of this before in his
Right.
life. And he said that press tour was tough because not only was it hard to wear clothes now, but he also had no one to talk to for a year.
Right.
And so he's like, I found myself all of a sudden being socially awkward. He's like, I didn't know how to talk to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I felt like I lost that ability to
Right.
communicate. And you could kind of see it in like the interviews, like he doesn't look anyone in the eye. He like can't look anyone in the eye anymore. And like, he like has strange like habits and like he responds with like one word answers a lot, like just doesn't hold the conversation very well. And so this whole thing goes on. He does the press tour. He goes back to Tokyo. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go home, see my family. They're probably going to disown me for going out and being naked. For being naked. But luckily that didn't happen. They welcomed him home. They knew that, he was tricked. They could tell right away. And so they welcomed him back. He, as far as I know, never took like legal action or anything. I don't know if that was something there was like grounds for. In like, I don't know what Japanese law is around something like this. So maybe he knew it was something he couldn't win, or maybe he did sign a contract and he knew, I agreed to that. I don't know. But it did open up a comedy career for him. He got to be in some TV shows. He got to be in a few movies. He did stand up for a little bit.
Where he's like pretty recognizable.
Yeah, everybody knows him now. And so he was able to build a career out of this. For him, though, he was in a very dark place after this, understandably. Because, like, I guess I don't have to explain why he was in a dark place until he found what he figured was, like, his purpose. And that was in March of 2011. Because
that's a long time to find your purpose.
Yeah. And so he did he had a career, but he was in a dark place for years. March of 2011, there was a pretty major event in Japan because there was a giant earthquake.
Yeah.
And that earthquake triggered a major tsunami, and that tsunami took out the Fukushima nuclear plant and led to the Fukushima nuclear disaster.
Right.
And so being from Fukushima, he immediately got on a train from Tokyo to go home to see his family and his friends and make sure everyone was okay. And luckily everyone was okay, but he noticed almost immediately the place was trashed. They got hit with an earthquake and then a tsunami immediately after. The place was just completely destroyed. And there were people who've lost loved ones, who've lost possessions, their homes are destroyed. Terrible situation. But people would see him, and he just having him there, he was such like a figure that people...
A figure?
People were like, they would see him and they'd like break down crying. They'd go hug him and they'd be like, thanks for being here.
Okay.
And like there was a person who came up to him and said, I lost my autograph in the tsunami. I'm so sorry. And he was like, well, I can give you another one.
Yeah.
And he realized...
Good tactic. Hey,
what's a good tactic?
I had one, but I've lost it. Would you give me another one?
And so he joins...
I'll tell you what. I mean, if my home was destroyed by like a hurricane or something, I would love to see just like, sure, my house is gone.
Yeah.
Sure, all of my belongings never coming back. Things that like I have like nostalgic value to. My pets probably.
Yeah.
My car, my neighbors.
Yeah.
House. Not them. They're fine.
Yeah.
But my neighbor's house.
Just
but if
devastating.
Patrick Mahomes walked through, I'd be like,
this is worth it. I'm so happy.
I'm so glad you're here.
Well, what he says...
It's weird to me.
So he helped in the rebuild.
I understand, but it's weird to me.
He helped in the rebuild, and he realized during that rebuild,
it's like when Joe Biden came to Joplin after the tornado. Do you know about this? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that because I wasn't here. Yeah, so I don't remember it.
2011,
it wasn't big.
Joplin tornado.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And it was like 162 people who died.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, then vice president, comes and does an event and says 162,000 people died in this.
It's not even
100% real.
People in Joplin.
He straight up was like 162,000 people died. Joe Biden, Joplin. And that's when I knew I'm going to vote for that guy.
I'm going to vote for that guy. Yeah, yep. At Joplin High School, October 3rd, 2014. Oh, he came way late.
That's what I'm saying. You were there. You were in Springfield. Because he came after the rebuild of the high school was done.
Oh, yeah. To like dedicate the high school.
Yeah.
That high school's
wild.
Very
the
nice.
amount of money that got put. So that was what was so hard about. I was on staff at North Point and we were launching a campus in Joplin. And one of the barriers, one of the challenges was that people in Joplin had so much money flow in there and so much relief. Like it became like, I think that they responded to Joplin the way that they should have responded to Katrina, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And I think they were so afraid of how poorly the U.S. government and the world responded to Katrina that they were like, we can't do that again.
Yeah.
So then they over responded to Joplin. Right.
Yeah.
And it was all good, necessary stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But, so much attention, so much, funding, the whole thing. And then Joey B dedicates that high school. And then all of it was just like, all right, we're done.
Yeah.
And they left.
Yeah.
And the next year we launched the campus, but it's now been a year since they've had all this funding and all this attention.
Yeah.
And they just went back to being the ugly stepsister of Springfield.
Yeah.
That it was it was challenging because they were like, well, how long are you going to be here?
Yeah.
That was definitely
This is going to be
nothing that wasn't explicitly said, but that was definitely
you could
understood.
feel it. Yeah.
Where it was like, yeah, but you're going to help us for a couple of years and then dip.
And then you're going to be gone.
Which is what I did.
So he realized in that moment, he's like, I think there's something I can make of this.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I didn't really learn any skills while I was in My Life in Prizes. He's like, I learned how to fill out 1,200 postcards a day, but that's not really a valuable skill.
Help these people.
And so, but what he realizes he became a figure, and him being a part of something could actually help people. And so he learned, I can
put my name on it.
Well, what he said I could fill this emptiness inside me by helping other people. And so he was a part of the relief effort. And then he went as an effort to raise money for Fukushima. He built a campaign to climb Everest. And he said, fund me going to Everest and I'll donate all that money back to Fukushima. And so he's like, I'm going to climb Everest and then you donate to Fukushima for it.
Help me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I know
I know exactly what
Help
you're
me
saying.
complete my pilot's license and I will give money back to you. Help me do something that I want to do.
Well, it wasn't because he could go. He could go on his own. Basically, it was like, hey, it was kind of like those run walk, like those donation. It's like, so you donate.
How many laps around Everest will you do? You donate $2.
Yeah.
And then I'll do 25 laps. So you got to give me 50 bucks.
Kinda. So something like that.
Give me
and
$1
so people are
for
donating.
every foot that I gain on Everest.
And he's climbing Everest in Fukushima's name, right? And so he goes, he gets a trainer, he gets a guide. He's in a group of 100 people to climb Everest.
Gets a shaman.
Yeah, and so they go. There's a group of 100 of them. They get to base camp.
It's wild that there are people whose whole job is to climb Everest every day and help tourists achieve their
go up,
and they're just
Everest,
we do this every
and
day.
they just do that all the time. Have you heard of that Everest business that just got started? It's a startup for Everest. Have you heard of this?
They fly you to the top.
No, what they do.
That would be.
What they do.
I would love that.
Is you sign up. And they find a hill near you and they do the math, how many times you have to climb that hill to climb Everest. And so then they're like, yeah, go up this hill, you do it. And it's your Everest climb for cheaper. It's a discount Everest.
10,000 laps in your living room.
That's the business. You pay them significantly less than you'd pay to go to Everest.
Yeah.
And then you climb Everest.
It'd be wild if it was the same amount.
It's so goofy because it's like, yeah, I mean, you're going the same distance, but it's so much easier. It's not frozen. It's not as high.
Though, dude. You say that, but you've never done it.
I mean, I've never done it.
Let's climb the Everest near us. Are we in?
No.
Come on.
No.
I bet I'll do it faster. I bet I'll even complete. You know what? Faster's not even a thing because it doesn't matter how long I take. You will never complete it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm in his head. All it takes is a little competition.
All right. So, anyways,
I bet I could put more money in my bank account than you could. I bet
I can put more money, not earn more, put more in my bank account. So he gets to base camp. He gets to base camp.
Thanks for not letting me
They're
do bits.
at the base of Everest.
Yeah.
There's like 100 of them. They set up camp. They're
He's like,
gonna
no
climb.
one sponsored this?
They're gonna climb the next day.
How long is this episode, by the way?
We're almost there.
Oh, shoot.
And the earthquake of Nepal hits. Nepal's big earthquake hits, and he's at base camp of Mount Everest, and that triggers an avalanche. And this avalanche hits their base camp. There's footage of all of them just getting nailed by this avalanche. And so he's now in 2 back-to-back earthquakes, basically, that lead to secondary disasters. And a handful of people did die. A bunch of people were injured. And he jumped right into like emergency mode and started like setting up, okay, he was going through everybody's bags, finding all the first aid stuff, setting up a first aid station, and finding all the clothes, like getting all the clothes together so people would have places to get more warm clothes and like change out of their stuff where they got avalanched, and then helping people get out of the area, you know, and like really was kind of a hero in this situation. And so he goes home and he's like, I'm sorry, Fukushima, I failed you. And they were like, no, we heard about what you did. And it was like even better.
Even better.
Yeah, we're so glad that happened.
Yeah.
We're so proud of you.
We thought you were going to die on Everest. So we're actually pretty glad. We watched you walk that hill by your house and we were like,
that's
screwed.
not going to happen. And so he goes and he goes back to do it again. And he this time achieves it. And it has become a thing he does now. And so he's now climbed Everest 4 times. And every time he does like in the name of some other charity.
Yeah.
And like they give to another charity. And so he just kind of climbs Everest over and over again. And he's like, I realized that like this has brought me to this point. And so he's like, My Life in Prizes was like the worst experience of his life.
Yeah.
He's like, I was definitely held hostage and it was a mentally very trying thing. And he said, I was in a very dark place for a very long time after that. But he's like, I do think like
it was worth it for this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like where it put me.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
Fame solves most of your problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, man, that sucked, but I was famous afterward.
But I ended up famous.
I was like,
So it's worth it. So here he is on top of Everest, and he's
surprised they made hoods that big. Cover his eggplant head.
So he
went from wearing 0 clothes to the place where you have to wear the most clothes.
And he's like, this is a lot. Do you sure we need this? Do you sure we need this?
Do you sure?
Do you sure we need this?
So now I'm glad he found a purpose.
Yeah. So
how old is he now?
He would be 40.
Almost 50.
Yeah, 49. He's 49. And yeah, now he speaks at events and he talks about, I don't know, how to be naked for 300 days. No, he talks about hope and stuff like that. And he still does the occasional comedy thing. But by and large, he spends his time doing...
climbing Everest.
Climbing Everest.
Takes a long time.
Doing like...
How long does it take to get up and back? We'll save it for after the fiddle. We'll save it.
I'll look it up. So yeah, that's Nasubi. Crazy experience in My Life in Prizes. Arguably one of the craziest TV shows ever made. That producer went on to do a few more TV shows. They got darker and darker and darker. Literally, one of them was they were trapped in a room in the dark, and they had to like survive. And it was a very similar concept, but they were in the dark. And so he would do
the challenge is that the lights are off.
The challenge is you can't.
You still gotta fill out the sweepstakes though.
but you can't see a thing. And so he ended up.
Here's $30,000 in cash. You have to match the serial numbers to a radio station in the United States.
But it's pitch black.
But it's dark.
Yeah, and so he did a handful more of these contests. He ended up getting shut down by the network though because they were like, I don't know if we
these
can
are kind
do
of
this.
mean, dude.
Yeah, they're like, this is pretty bad. And
he's like, finally, I've been trying to get fired for years. I couldn't believe you guys said yes to half these ideas. Obviously, these are like get out of here ideas.
The public turned on him because the public had no idea like how bad of a place Nasubi was in. When they realized he was in a bad mental state, they're like, oh, that sucks because we like him.
Did you guys know?
Yeah. No, we just assumed he was happy. He acted like it sometimes on the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And so that's Nasubi. He's a hero. with
Wow.
a big long head.
Fiddle Off.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you liked it, we've got an episode called Ida Wood, where there was this woman who lived in her apartment without leaving for, I don't know what it was, like 70 years. It was something pretty insane. She ate everything inside that apartment. She hoarded a little bit. It's kind of a wild story, a little nasty. So it's kind of like this episode, but like a little different in a way. You know, it's similar but different. And that's what a recommendation is. It's to see something that's similar but different. And hey, if you want to see next week's episode right now, you can do that by becoming a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the bio to do that, or in the description to do that. Our Patreon supporters get a lot of great perks, like they get an episode a week early with ad-free, they get a Discord, they get to hang out with our producers and us in a video call once a month, which is super fun, and a lot of other great perks. And not to mention, they make this show happen. So we really appreciate all our Patreon supporters. You can do that right now at the link in the description. Or you can just subscribe, you can like, you can comment, you can do all the stuff the YouTubers tell you to do, because that helps a ton. But we really appreciate you watching our show, and we'll see you next week on Things I Learned Last Night.